So I wanted to make a quick video about the most important lesson from this discovery that I recently had with the gallbladder and what could have been done so I didn't have to wait 5 years to find this out. And I'm looking for a framework of thinking that I can take this lesson and use it for all the other conditions that I have. So at the very least, we can start here. Relating to my issues that I have. So let me pull that up real quick. So these are the 5 top things that I'm going to be tackling, as I mentioned in a couple of videos ago. Ability to speak without head pressure and pain, ability to use a computer or just having full control of fingers, to use, mainly use a computer, use a phone, things like that without pain, to be able to eat foods with healthy fats, to be free of shortness of breath, and then finally in the end is to be able to jog or exercise without getting dizzy and tunnel vision, things like that. So now out of these, I put in the order of like the ones that will have the highest improvement in quality of life, right? Like being able to speak for me is probably the number one thing that I would like to be able to do more of without having restrictions, because that's just what it is. I can't interact with people. I already can't share a meal with anybody, but if I'm getting to a point where I have to just stay in a room and be quiet and it just gets worse and worse and worse, it's kind of like a scarier place to be. Compared to the second one, not being able to use a computer or a phone, the worst that will go to is probably like let's say, I won't be able to run a business or have any kind of work, but at the very worst, if I'm completely like unable to use my limbs at all, as long as I can, kind of do basics like walk around the house and stuff, maybe at the very worst, I'll just have to go back to my country and just be taken care of there, but I can still speak. So I put that second. Now, the reason I'm explaining this is because the third one is, now that I'm looking at it, it might, in another way, the third one, which I put, is to be able to eat healthy fats, is not for pleasure, not so I can have more food. It's so I can have the nutrients I need to be able to open up doors and have and start reversing this and healing. This, now I'm thinking, is the most important, right? Because if I wanted to do another category of not just most improvement in quality of life, but also by what are the ones that has the highest likelihood of healing other parts, right? Because everything's connected. It's our body, right? Being able to introduce healthy fats, being able to eat protein again, being able to eat an egg, I think is one of the biggest milestones that I can think of in my life as a whole. And I'm really looking forward to how things go after the surgery for that one thing. If I'm able to introduce an egg, that's going to be everything, because then, that's a very nutritious, fatty food, and I know that's gonna be, really feeding my body with a lot of nutrients that I've been deprived of, and it can have a multitude of effects which I don't even know that can help the other parts, other symptoms. So just wanted to explain that again, because I'm going to restructure the order of importance of these things and go towards what I just said, instead of just doing it by quality of life improvement. All right. So having that said, let me go towards the main point of the video, which I was saying is ways to start thinking, or ways I could have taught that would have allowed me to find out this issue earlier. The guy said that this is probably something that started developing maybe when I was like 23. So that's a long time. I'm turning 28 in next month. It's like 5 years. Wait, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, yeah. All right, at least I correct myself. So 5 years that I had this thing growing in me, which I thought I had done all the tests under the sun, but clearly not, because all I did was scratch the surface, right? When I did all those rounds of tests of going to 7, 8, 10 doctors, all I was doing is going to a different department. I'm like, I need a general check, right? For my brain, they just did MRI. For my throat and lungs, they just did whatever they did. For my heart, they just did EKG. I never went down granular and found out what are all the types of tests that I can do within the brain, within the heart, within the liver, gallbladder, and all the areas, all the individual parts. So there's definitely a lot, because each body part can be, I'm sure, like, 5 to 10 different tests. So the way I'm going to go about it now is by directly asking the question. Because if I was to ask myself, hey, one of my biggest goals is to be able to introduce healthy fats. Well, the question is, which part of the body is responsible for breaking down fats, or responsible for dealing with fat and oil? I would have found the gallbladder. And it sounds so simple once you find the answer, but I guess it's just the way it is, right? Once we know the answer in hindsight, you can connect the dots. But what would be silly is for me to just sit down with this discovery and just take things slow. Now it's prime time. Head pressure, for example, right? What is involved with breath and pressure, right? What is it? My guess right now, circulation, blood circulation problems with that's going to my head and body parts, right? I read somewhere not too long ago, I forgot where it is, but it's like from the heart, the furthest part of the bodies tend to have issues. That explains a lot. So that's things are starting to line up. Hands are having issues. Feet, I'm having more and more trouble walking, right? Head, I've been having trouble for that for years now. So it seems like the parts that are furthest away has something. But again, this is just my framework of thinking. But the point would be now for me to understand what is involved in any kind of thing that's involved in both speaking and head pressure. First, to give an example. Number 2, to be able to use a computer without hand pain. This is a bit more complicated because generally when we think of hand pain, there's a lot of terms out there like carpal tunnel. I tested this before. Last year, they said everything's fine. It doesn't pass for carpal tunnel. And I was way more naive than I'm now, because when that happened, I was like, oh my God. They said no. So what could it be? Why do I have so much pain? Why can't I, why can't I sometimes put a password to my computer to open it, right? Like I have to wake up for my girlfriend to get up and come and help me set some shit up so I can just continue my day. And what I should have thought is I still didn't look into it, but what I should have thought is like, okay, all right, we ruled this one thing out, this electrical pulse check they did with carpal tunnel. All right, that's ruled out. What else is there, right? Instead, what I did is I ruled out the entire hand thing and just went to the next doctor. So that would be the third thing, and on and on and on. But so anyways, just wanted to make this video to kind of put a check mark point of what I'm learning from this discovery and a new framework of thinking where we try to go, for lack of better terms, just like directly to the root, right? I'm not a doctor. I don't know how all this works, but trying to think in the sense of direct, right? Can't consume fat. What is responsible with fat? Boom. Speak, breath, head pressure. Let's find out the anatomy of what is responsible there, and then tackle it from this framework of mind, keeping everything very open-minded and very organized, and not judging any single test as any kind of conclusion.